Hey everybody! So this is Zachy. Brian is here.
Hey.
So Brian just got done watching the Stranger Things finale.
Literally, I'm still humming David Bowie's Heroes in my head. Turned off the TV and walked into this room.
So we were texting, and Brian was like, "So what'd you think?" And I was like, "Well, why don't we just get on mic?"
Yeah. No, I was starting a conversation. You're like, "Let's get on mic," and that was it. And here we are.
And here we are. This is the most impromptu I think we've ever been.
I know really very little of what people think about it. I've been avoiding reviews. I've seen little things on Instagram. And I'm like, nope. I don't want to know anything. So I don't even know what you thought about it. And it's still, like I said, rattling in my head. So, and I'm kind of high on it at the moment. So, I mean, when we hang up, I might think of 10 other things I'd like to say, or like, wait a minute, that didn't make sense at all. But right now, this is me fresh.
So let's just dispense with the non-spoiler thing, and if you're listening to this, assume we will be talking spoilers.
Totally. I don't know how else we could talk about it.
Yeah. So by way of context, I saw it 2 nights ago. I saw it on New Year's Eve. I was lucky. I was able to finagle a ticket to one of the theatrical screenings that have been, sort of dotting the landscape. And so I was able to get in and have that experience. Brian, I know you tried.
I tried. Well, New Year's Eve was a little tricky just because of, New Year's Eve events. And then yesterday I ended up, it was great. Like I got invited to a friend's family's place and had a dinner and whatever. So I was thinking the whole day was out. But then I got home earlier than I expected, like 7 p.m. I was like, ooh, maybe I could catch one of these screenings. So I looked in the app and the next one was at 10:30 p.m. And I was like, ooh. And like with 30 minutes of trailers, that means it's starting at 11. Ooh, 11. And I was like, I'll wait. And there was only like 2 seats literally left. And I was like, yeah. So I waited till it was about 10 p.m. And I was like, I just don't know. Like, I don't want to go in there and be like falling asleep in a seat.
Yeah.
So yeah, I watched it at home.
I should say, technically, there were no trailers. We actually got an email. I got an email. This is from at the Cinemark, and it said arrive on time because there aren't going to be any trailers beforehand.
That is so kind.
That
for them really to like even say like, hey, we know you don't want to. You come later to these things because of all the ads, but we're letting you know we don't want you to miss out. That's great.
That being said, that is what they said. However, there was about 15 minutes worth of coming attractions. So maybe not movie trailers, but like they played the Target ad with Mr. Wheeler in it, and
sure. So it was all themed.
I think so. Although I think that Simu Liu series, they showed a thingy for that.
Is that Netflix?
No, weird. Yeah, that's Peacock, I think. Yeah, but they did show a thing for that. But anyway. I got to have that experience, packed room, and that was fun. And then I had to rush right home and I had to write my review, which was for the Chronicle. But I got to have that experience, which I'm very glad about. And you did not have that; you watched it in the comfort of your home. So I'm curious how our reactions are sort of reflective of the different experiences we had watching.
I want to hear all about the experience because I remember having this unique thing happen when we saw the Simpsons movie.
Yeah.
In the theater, where obviously, we've decades of watching it on television alone, or with like a sibling or friends or something. And then seeing it in the theater and just seeing like every, demographic of person you can imagine, young, old, whatever. Like, I was like, oh, wow, this is like when it's a TV show, it almost feels like your thing or something. And then when you were in this big space and watching quote unquote your thing with everybody and everybody's laughing at what Bart says, I remember that feeling very unique and special.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious. Again, Stranger Things is something I'm used to in my living room.
Right.
What was it like being amongst fans, and what were the fans like, and how was it like a loud experience? Was everyone kind of, talking to the screen and cheering and whatever, or were they all, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I texted this to you. I said it was like an Avengers Endgame level audience.
Right.
I'm not saying that about the film, but certainly that audience was that level of plugged in. Or Return of the King, like kind of it felt like a culminative audience.
Totally.
And I will say, and we'll get into our thoughts about the episode, and then I can sort of talk about the crowd reaction too. But I think that for me, this was the first time, because so much of my experience of Stranger Things is I watch it and then I partake or observe the online discussion, and that's really about it. Right? I mean, you talk about it with friends or whatever, but like sort of that thing that we experience collectively, that shared experience. It was so fun to be part of that, right?
I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous.
That really made it fun. So do you want to? Should we just give our what did we think of the episode before we get into it?
Yeah, I haven't read your review or anything, so I'm dying to know.
Well, here are my thoughts. I'm not gonna say it's the best finale ever, and it's in the top tier final episodes of all time. I don't think that's even fair. I think that's an unfair burden to put on this show. But I think it is the perfect finale to this series, and I'm very, very happy with how they ended it.
Completely agree. Completely. I loved it. Yeah. I loved it. I'm still, it's minutes from finishing it, but I'm feeling like great. And I feel like it scratched every itch I wanted it to. I actually, as I was waiting for you to hop on and everything, I was trying to remember things that I thought throughout it a little bit, and I was starting to write them down. We can get to them. And I was like, oh, yeah, well, that's kind of a question I still have, or I wonder about that. And we'll get to that. But it gave me everything I wanted. Yeah. It gave me the kids all working together with their cobbled together homemade weapons. Everyone was useful. Everyone had a moment. Defeating the bad guy was very satisfying. And then even, I think one of the trickiest parts of a series finale is wrapping up the characters.
That's right.
And I liked how they did it. I liked what they did with everyone. And I think they did this perfect mix of, which we can get into, giving me everything I wanted to feel, but not leaving things a little ambiguous.
That's right.
You can kind of make of it what you want. It to the perfect degree, I think. You know what I mean? Because as Mike is telling everyone stories, and we know he's a storyteller,
right?
We do get these sort of flash forward images of them.
Kind of a 6 Feet Under-esque.
Yeah. Or I thought...
Not to the same extent, but...
No, yeah, exactly. And you could take those literal, or you could take those as what he hopes for everyone. I just felt like that balance was perfect, because it made me feel like, as I walk away from it, I realized oh, well, I hope that's what happens. But as I was watching it, I felt like that was what was happening, and it made me very happy. And so I think they walked that tightrope kind of perfectly, because then, you know what I mean? They didn't necessarily give everybody a happy ending, but they gave you the feeling that they likely could.
Well, when you think about it, right? Because over the last day or so, I've dipped in and look at some of the conversation online, and there's a lot of heated back and forth about whether Mike's, flash forward moment, all of the things that he alludes to, if those are quote unquote real,
right?
And I'm like, well, none of it's real. That's the beauty of it.
Right.
Like it leaves it entirely up to you, because it's it's sort of like it's like asking, oh, is Inception all a dream? And you say, well, it doesn't matter, because it's a movie,
Sure.
This is an imaginary story, aren't they all? That kind of thing,
Right.
But because we see it, it's real to us. All of it, and it doesn't matter, because we're not going to revisit these characters.
So you can sort of choose.
You can whatever you want it to be. And that's what I liked about it. I like that it luxuriated in the ambiguity, but it doubled down on the feeling, Right.
That's what I think I'm trying to say is like, I feel like they handled that tightrope so perfectly. And because with Elle, which we can get to, I actually don't know if that one is true. And it reminded me of that movie Radio Flyer. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
One of the most depressing movies I saw as a kid. And like, I'm going to spoil Radio Flyer to make a point, but basically there's a kid and he's being abused by his dad. And so his brother builds him like out of a Radio Flyer wagon, like a flying vehicle so he can fly away. And at the end of the movie, the little abused boy flies away in the Radio Flyer. Yeah. And then you hear this narration from the brother as an adult, like, well, that's not what happened, obviously, but that's what I choose. That's how I choose to remember it.
Right.
And so he's telling me that's not true, even though obviously, a flying wagon, but like in this one, I like that they don't tell me. It's up to me. You know what I mean? They kind of allow themselves a little bit of an out so you can go, oh, I hope that's what happens versus that's literally what happens. And I think that was the perfect balance to strike.
I think so, and there has been a lot of sort of, people going back and forth of sort of like, oh, there weren't any stakes in the finale. And I'm assuming by stakes, they mean nobody died or definitively died, and I'm amused at that a little bit because I'm like, yeah, nobody died in the Goonies either, and I didn't watch the Goonies being like, why didn't they kill Mouth, or whatever. Like, there were no stakes, Mouth is still alive or whatever, like that's the point, right?
It's it's so funny. I've always agreed with that sentiment, but I love that specific example. And it's not to say that obviously a character sacrificing themselves in many, many stories makes sense.
Yeah.
But I don't always want that in every story. I've brought this up. I know Harrison Ford, and I've heard other people say that like, well, Han Solo should have died in Return of the Jedi.
That's right.
And I'm like, no, like I want to see all my friends standing at the fence singing with Ewoks,
Right. Yeah.
And some stories and maybe some storytelling book, objectively, I'm wrong, would tell me I'm wrong, but some stories, that's just what I want. And I would have been really devastated if any of these characters had died.
Well, right. And I think the Duffers are right there with you. And that's evident in how they approach this. I should say, by the way, I mean, speaking of the theatrical experience, I have never in my life heard a sound in a theater like when it looked like Steve was about to die.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Really?
I have never in my life heard it. Like, I will carry that sound with me for the rest of my days.
But tell me about it. So he's hanging from that tower.
He's hanging. If you remember, you see his hand slip, and then it goes to black.
Yes.
Now, do you have Netflix like with commercials?
No.
Okay, I was curious. Like, does it go to a commercial? Like,
that'd be evil. Evil.
So at that moment, I was like, "Oh shit! Okay, I guess they did it." And then the payoff to me is much better that Jonathan catches him.
100% that it wasn't, because he wasn't even the closest one to him.
That's right.
I think I even said out loud, like, perfect. It should be him because of their dynamic.
But you know what's funny is at that moment, once I saw that Steve lived, I was like, I think everyone's going to make it out of this.
Yeah.
That was my thought.
Right.
Because I was just sort of like, the structure of the story was such like, to me, it was like, I mean, the closest we get to a fatality is Elle, right? And they deliberately leave that vague.
Well, her sister, Callie.
Right, but to me, she's like a second. She's like a tertiary character.
Sure.
But yes, I agree with you. But to me, I was like our main group. I was literally like Hopper. They already did the death fake out earlier in the season. I was like, they're not going to do it now.
Right.
And then when Hop gives Elle that speech, right?
Mm-hmm.
About, you're going to live and everything he says, right? I was like, I don't think he gives her that speech and then they just decisively end it.
Mm-hmm.
So literally, like when we got to the end, I was like, they're leaving themselves some wiggle room,
Right.
And it was precisely because they just want you to interpret it however you will. But I'm telling you, the audience's reaction when we thought Steve was going to croak, which is very funny to me because it shows how beloved he became.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Considering I think he was supposed to die after the first season, right, or during the first season.
Oh wow.
Right. But to me, a lot of people are sort of talking about how the last 40 minutes and change is just epilogue, right?
Sure.
And honestly, maybe it's just me. I'm like, no, I loved all of that. People are like, what happened to the military? I'm like, honestly, I don't even care. Like, they're not there now.
I will. That was one of the things that crossed my mind as I was settling.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. Like, well, something.
Yeah, because I'm like, okay, well, if they think Elle is dead and all of their, like, what's keeping them in Hawkins?
Right.
So, okay, something happened, right? Because to me, the last everything after Vecna dies and the by the way, man, when Joyce kills Vecna,
dude, so yeah, there's so much I want to talk about. No, I don't want to interrupt you. Sorry, you go ahead.
What a moment. Yeah, we'll circle back to that. But everything after the Upside Down gets destroyed, it's the epilogue of the epilogues of Return of the King.
Yeah, sure.
Right. And by the way, just like Return of the King, I don't want anyone in the Fellowship to die. Mm-hmm. Right. We lost Boromir already. Eddie Munson is like the Boromir.
Yeah. Right.
No one else, it's kind of the same thing, but I liked all of that is what I'm saying. I liked all the stuff about, what Mike, the grief that he's going through. And I just seeing everybody have their moment. I loved the rooftop scene,
mm-hmm.
With Steve and Nancy and Robin, etc. Just all those moments, because I'm like, well, we're saying goodbye to these characters, so just give me that. Give me them talking to each other. Give me them being with each other. That's the stuff I like.
I completely agree. I think I wouldn't have minded if there had been not that I really didn't need this, but it did pop into my brain, so I will say it. But like the Linda Hamilton character, mm-hmm. like maybe she's in jail now, or some sort of, because it is like our heroes are essentially in handcuffs with them, and then it just kind of cuts to the future where everything is okay.
Right.
And I was like, oh man, they had the whole town locked down, and
that's right.
Like I could imagine a brief moment where maybe we see people emerging from their homes and watching on as military vehicles are exiting town,
leaving. Yeah.
And maybe someone even says something like they were never heard from again. Like it's since been covered up or something.
I wouldn't have minded that.
I wouldn't have minded it, but I was happy to move on with how do my people feel right now. And I did like that Mike was a little, tortured and sad, and they all kind of moved on in their own ways. And I thought that was interesting. I loved, Dustin's graduation speech.
Yeah.
Was really fun. I like when I saw that the dad was still alive, I was like, oh, yay. And then Karen has those like Quaritch scars across her chest.
Right.
I was like, that is so cool. I love that. Oh man, I mean, there's just so many different. But I do want to say,
hey,
yes.
well, we end the opening day of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. What's more perfect than that?
Which is great, yes, and also nice, and it makes sense because it would be May, graduation time.
That's right.
And also, I thought, that's so fitting that they never make it to the 90s. They end the whole series in the 80s. But with the whole Return of the King thing, a lot of the episode being dedicated. Well, because I texted you about watching it, and you were like, how far do you have left? And I was like, oh, they're graduating. And then I clicked on my thing and I saw there was like 40 minutes left.
It's like 40 minutes.
Oh crap. But I wouldn't cut a minute of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's if you think of it as a 50-hour movie, whatever, I don't know how many episodes it is, but it's like, well, I want to think of it as one episode and you just have like a 10-minute little wrap up. It's like, no, we're wrapping up a series that I've been watching for 10 years. Like I want to spend some time with these people saying goodbye. And I don't feel like they indulged. I feel like they gave us the perfect amount. Like you said, the older kids on the roof,
Yeah.
Which is the only time I'm going to pick on this. But they've never nailed that radio station looking like it exists in the real world. Like, I actually was like, you know, people say, how does Jurassic Park from 1993 look better than visual effects now still?
Mm-hmm.
And there was like a moment where those kids were sitting up on the roof, and I was like, how does it look like they're in the movie The Room? Like, you know what I mean? That scene with Tommy Wiseau and whatever, and Mark, and they're on the roof, and it's like, looks like completely. I was like, this looks. I don't understand it. All the other stuff looks great. So I don't want to pick on the visual effects generally. I just that scene is like, wow.
Now that said, the scene itself, the emotional dynamic underlying it, man, that was when I started getting teary-eyed.
Dude, I cried. Like, I didn't, like weepy, but I had tears in my eyes.
Yeah. Well, there were a few points, as we progressed,
Yeah.
But definitely, like, where they all agree, oh, we're gonna meet once a month,
mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, you poor naive children. No, you won't.
I had the same thought, and I think this might be why we're okay with the ambiguity in some of the moments.
Yeah, right.
Because I wonder if I was like 19 or 18 watching this, and I might believe them.
Yeah, right.
That they're going to get together every month. But in my 40s, I'm like, they won't.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean they didn't mean it.
Right.
And it doesn't mean they don't want to, but that's just not how life goes.
That's not life. Exactly.
Yeah. And so for me, there was a sweetness, and I did tear up at that, but there was also maybe a wistfulness.
Yeah.
Knowing that they're all moving on to another portion of their lives, and it reminded me of that feeling that I haven't felt in so long.
That's what got me emotional, is that sense of, Steve is like, I want to preserve this, what we have here. And it's like, we all want that. We all have those moments.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I just wish I could exist in this moment forever. But I mean, that's not never to be.
Yeah, even with Mike, I mean, I have so many things. I know we're hopping around, but when Mike was being called up for dinner and he goes up the stairs at the end, it just reminded me of that funny feeling graduating high school and the world that you've known your entire life. Right. You're about to cross into something else. And it's a weird, exciting, sad, unknowable, mix of feelings. And I thought they evoked that. It reminded me of that. I was feeling those feelings again that I hadn't had since I graduated high school. And I thought they did an excellent job evoking that.
Well, and when you think about it, like, that's part of the result of it being set when it's set is, nowadays, you got your group chain. And everybody's chatting and, and no, that it wasn't like that back in the day.
Yeah, that's a great point.
It just wasn't, right? Like,
yep.
Pre-social media, pre all that stuff. It's like, people move on.
Right.
That's just what happens,
You lose touch. Actually, it's funny. Just yesterday, my friend, he posted some picture from New Year's Eve, and he goes, "Hey, do you remember so-and-so from like work, 15 years ago? She liked the picture." And I had this thought, like, wow, 25 some years ago, that would have been a person who was in my life that I would have never, come in contact with again.
Yeah.
But now with social media, we are almost forever connected.
Yeah.
Even if we never speak, but I will see that it's so-and-so's birthday from some job 12 years ago.
Right.
Like there's this web of connection now that remains.
Yeah.
That did not in the era that Stranger Things, the last episode ended. Like, those people, some of them will lose touch.
I mean, that's exactly it, right? I mean, that's no matter what, that's the future that awaits these people. Again, that's just life. That's not good or bad. It's what happens,
Mm-hmm.
But did we want to get into sort of the Vecna of it all?
Yeah, the beats and stuff. Yeah, for sure.
So one thing I'll say, I really liked, but I think I said this before, I've really enjoyed Will's journey this whole season.
Me too.
I loved the moment when he connects to Henry,
mm-hmm.
and he's like, the mind flare, it lied to you, it manipulated you. and we think it's maybe there's a redemption element. There's a Ben Solo thing in the mix.
Hey, this is Brian, and what you just heard was a preview of an hour-long conversation Zachy and I had discussing the series finale of Stranger Things. The conversation was completely unplanned, and when we were finished, we thought, this is the perfect type of bonus conversation we're looking to add over at our Patreon. A subscription is only $5 a month and will provide you with ad-free versions of our commentaries and regular shows, as well as access to bonus conversations that don't fit into our regular episodes. Everything from trailer talk to extra headline discussions, random topics on our minds, and occasional additional reviews like this one. Our free feed will always be available, but if you're interested in those things, please head over to patreon.com/moviefilmpodcast and hit subscribe. We'd be very grateful.